Here in front of me are the three massive Lord of the Rings sets that LEGO has produced in its history. We've got the new Barad-Dur that was just released this month, 2023's Rivendell, and 2013's Orthanc. Now in this video, I'm going to give you a comparison of these sets. How do they relate in terms of their building experience, minifigs, display value, and overall value? At the end, I'll tell you which one our family thinks is overall the best, and if you could purchase just one, which one we would recommend. These are all very large sets, with Orthanc being the smallest at just over 2,300 pieces and 5 minifigs. In the quote-unquote middle is Barad-Dur with almost 5,500 pieces and 10 minifigs. The largest is Rivendell with close to 6,200 pieces and 21 minifigs. When it comes to the building experience, the amount of pieces can matter. More pieces means more detail and more intricate building techniques. This is certainly true in the case of these three sets. Orthanc has some great exterior details, especially for its time, including the staircase, the ridges along the base, interesting arches in the middle, and the spires at the top. In the interior, there are different rooms, such as the dungeon, throne room, an area where Saruman creates his explosive weapon for the Battle of Helm's Deep, and an attic filled with a variety of Saruman's trophies, including the key to Orthanc and wizard's staves. An extra 3,000 plus pieces, though, elevates you to the level of detail found in the other sets. In Barad-Dur, that means intricate snot-built buttresses, various ornate windows, a twisting spiral of rocks coming up the side, and, most importantly, the Eye of Sauron. The interior is, interestingly, pretty similar to Orthanc, but bigger. There's a dungeon, a forge, a throne room, and a couple levels for Sauron's library/scrolls. There's another worthwhile similarity between the two black towers, the use of these 1x2 grill bricks. Orthanc comes with 86 of them, which would be quite astonishing, except that Barad-Dur contains 172 of them. Indeed, Barad-Dur contains many similar pieces to Orthanc, but also has the advantage of a decade-plus gap between releases, which allowed the set designer to incorporate more modern pieces and building techniques. One example of this is the number of angles utilized throughout Barad-Dur relative to Orthanc. The latter notably has this angled staircase connected by Technic axles, but beyond that is limited to more the natural angles we see with LEGO pieces like these wedge plates. Barad-Dur, on the other hand, uses different angles across the first couple of levels with the help of hinge plates. This look from above shows these subtle differences, which all add to the building experience. Whereas Barad-Dur improves upon the angles used in Orthanc, Rivendell is a master class in angles put on by set designer Mike Sayaki. The layout of the gazebo section can be described as what I would say very ordered chaos, in that the forge doorway is at one angle, the gazebo itself is situated at another, and the bridge spanning the stream is at a third. That doesn't even include the wing that provides an entrance to the main structure or the intricate angularity of the statue section. And therein lies the advantage of Rivendell over the other two sets. Whether because of ingenuity, the source material, or the latitude allowed by LEGO in the design process, this set stands above the others in terms of its building techniques. Take a moment to appreciate the gazebo, the bridge connection, the seating for the Council of Elrond, and even the stream. These all use very different techniques that time and again blew my mind. There is no functional equivalent to these techniques in the other sets. Barad-Dur gives us more landscape context compared to Orthanc, again understandable given the piece count, but the building techniques used for the rock and lava base are fairly consistent throughout. Now I will refrain from going on and on about this, but when it comes to the building experience, Rivendell comes in first place, followed by Barad-Dur, then Orthanc. The price range is also correlated with the minifig selection. For $200 back in 2013, which equates to about $270 today, you got 5 minifigs, one of which was truly exclusive to the set and another that was unique. First, you got a Mordor orc along with a generic Uruk-hai. Then you also get Gandalf the Grey with a hair and cape. Now the unique minifig is Saruman in long robes with this wonderfully printed 2x2x2 slope. While he appeared in another smaller set, that version of Saruman had just plain white legs. I particularly like this dual molded beard and his dignified robe printing that goes all the way down the front of the minifig. Used versions here go for around $60 on Brinklink if you're interested. But Grima Wormtongue is the last minifig we'll talk about for Orthanc, and he is exclusive to the set. He comes with a black torso with dark red chainmail print and a ring attached to a necklace, a double-sided head, and a black cape. The face printing is sufficiently gaunt, and he looks fantastic overall. Accordingly, his price on Bricklink corresponds to the detail of the minifig along with his exclusivity. Used versions will set you back around $120. The Barad-Dur minifigs have been much discussed as of late, with the Mouth of Sauron, Gothmog, and Sauron himself being the clear highlights. All told, you get 10 minifigs plus a skeleton, which I address in much more detail in my independent review of the set, linked here on the channel. Likewise, the Rivendell minifigs warranted considerable discussion and praise when the set was announced and released. But conceptually, all of the minifigs are updated versions of the 2010s line, as this set comes with the full Fellowship. The technical exceptions include the generic elves and the statues. As such, used versions of these minifigs run for about $10 to $15 a piece, which isn't all that much individually, but can add up when you do that 21 times. Still, the prints on these minifigs are fantastic, and I love that we get updated versions of Arwen and Elrond along with all of the Fellowship. So which set wins the battle of minifigs? Honestly, I think it's a tough call. You have the sheer volume in Rivendell compared with the exclusive minifig in Orthanc and the 2 exclusive minifigs in Barad-Dur. In an upset, I'm picking Barad-Dur here, albeit not by much, followed by Rivendell and then Orthanc. Can I be honest? These are all a tad bit of a nightmare to display. Orthanc is naturally the smallest, and at 2 feet tall, it isn't really all that easy to display. It's not too wide, nor is it all that deep, and because of that, it's maybe easier to display than the other 2 sets among your LEGO collection, but it's still difficult. Barad-Dur, of course, is even taller than Orthanc, but you can also see the added depth and width that comes with the 3,000 plus additional pieces. It's close to 18 inches wide and 12 inches deep, with the latter being a potential problem for your display shelves if they are shallow. Rivendell is even more difficult to display on the shelf because of the angles that add even more depth. At nearly 20 inches deep, it's not fitting on most shelves, and there's no easy way to disconnect the front of it, such as what you have with the Lion Knight's castle. Display shelves notwithstanding, if you line these sets up side by side, Barad-Dur's height dominates the other 2, while Rivendell's color scheme and green scenery set it apart. While I prefer Rivendell here, our house is divided, with the eldest daughter favoring Barad-Dur in terms of display value, and the youngest daughter being pretty split between the 2. I imagine that might be common among A-full households, as it entirely depends on your preference. Personally, black is one of my least favorite LEGO colors due to its glare when you photograph it, as well as the ease with which it smudges. And while the roof of Rivendell took a while to build, and fortunately not that long to straighten out, I love the color scheme of the set, and Mike Sayaki's willingness to take risks that made it look incredible certainly paid off. One other display item to tackle. How could you maybe display them together? Well, it's definitely not happening on a typical bookshelf. Your best bet is some sort of table or desk display, but know that they will take up the entire space, as you can see here. For perspective, this white desk will fit easily 5 to 6 modulars, and there's really little margin when you put all 3 of these Lord of the Rings sets on it. Unsurprisingly, display value comes down to a subjective valuation of what you prefer. For me, it came down to the vertical dominance of Barad-Dur versus the majesty and length of Rivendell, and I'm going with Rivendell. I've made this point before, but it bears repeating yet again. Value is inherently subjective, whether you're talking about LEGO or anything else. Now, when it comes to value, many LEGO fans, not really sure how many there are, but some of them like to use the price per piece metric. If you do that for these sets, the one that comes out on top is Rivendell at 8.1 cents per piece. Next would be Barad-Dur at 8.4 cents per piece, and then Orthanc at 8.5 cents. Now, that of course assumes that you're buying Orthanc at its original price back in 2013, which was $200. At roughly $270 equivalents today, that raises to 11.4 cents per piece. And of course, that assumes you could even buy this set somewhere from eBay, Bricklink, or wherever else for $270. Now, looking at Bricklink, over the last 6 months, the average used price for an Orthanc is around $600, which would put it at 25 cents per piece. So if you view value in that way, Rivendell comes out on top. Of course, there are many flaws with the price per piece ratio, and I'm not really sure how many fans use it as a metric. If that were the case, no one would buy a set that includes a dinosaur or even a sound brick. Instead, there are many subjective measures people use, including size, exclusive minifigs, build experience, display value, general fandom, and more. And add to all of this that these sets are luxury items, if we're being honest, and you can see why 36 new and used copies of Orthanc were sold on Bricklink in just the month of May, which is a significant increase over prior months. Bottom line, people love to collect Lego and specific pop culture themes, and Lord of the Rings is pretty bankable. I'm going to try to simplify this as much as I can. If I had around $550 to spend on just one set and all three were available for that price, which one would I choose? To me, the fact that Rivendell has over 700 more pieces and 11 more minifigs than Barad-Dur, including each of the Fellowship, Glowin, Arwen, and Elrond, gives it a leg up. Sure, Barad-Dur has more exclusive minifigs like Gothmog, Sauron, and the updated version of the Mouth of Sauron, but honestly, if my kids were playing with these sets, they'd want to interact with the Fellowship because those are the main characters. And for those reasons, I'm going with Rivendell. I know that Orthanc didn't fare all that well compared to these other two sets, but let's keep in mind that it was the standard bearer for Lord of the Rings Lego when it was released in 2013. And as such, its brick set rating, an average of 4.7 out of 5, corresponds nicely with that designation. It is among the top echelon of Lego sets ever released. But these sets are also incredible. Rivendell has a 4.8 out of 5 rating on Brickset, which makes it even a higher percentage of sets that it is better than. And now, there aren't as many reviews yet for Barad-Dur, but I would imagine it's going to be well over a 4.5, 4.6, maybe even higher than that when all is said and done. And that brings me to the main point that I want to make here is that these are three fantastic sets. And if you have the ability to buy one of them, consider yourself very, very blessed. In the end, Rivendell gets the nod in our household, although it was divided. One of our kids picked Barad-Dur, the other one was tied. Julia and I both picked Rivendell, which narrowed its lead among the rest of them. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.